What's up everyone, back with the next episode of the NatDex OU climb with monotypes. Today we're playing some mono bug, which is often seen as not a very good type, but in testing this type was actually very fun to use, and I got some good results, so hopefully today we're going to be getting some good wins and be able to climb a bit on the ladder. So I'm going to jump right into the team. So the first member of the team is going to be Rabambi, and Rabambi is going to be a timid nature to be able to outspeed some basically a lot of non-boosted scarfed threats in the tier due to it having a fantastic speed tier, and we don't necessarily need the special attack too much, though its Moonblast does go a long way to KO things like dark types or dragons in the tier like Dragapult, and thankfully it can live thanks to a focus sash, so it can actually live a never-ending nightmare from a Dragapult and revenge kill with a Moonblast potentially. Beyond that, we do sticky web support for the team because the team is not going to be the fastest. We do have a lot of slower Pokemon, or a lot of Pokemon that kind of rely on priority, so having that sticky web to fight things like maybe Tapu Lele with Scarfed is really important for the team to potentially get that up. Next up we have Stunspore. Stunspore is just again good team support and some good speed control, which is essentially what Rabambi is on the team, is my main form of speed control. So paralyzing Pokemon like Magirnar, for example, can really help later in the game. And finally, we have Psychic, and that is just for kind of Toxapex or anything that might want to, any poison types that kind of resist Moonblast, because we do struggle a little with some poison types in the tier. Ability-wise, we have Shield Dust, just so what this does is ignore the secondary effects of moves. For example, Scald won't be able to burn me, and that's super important, so Rabambi can live the attack, and it won't get a status like Sludge Bomb or Scald, for example, which means it won't break its sash afterwards, won't break the 1 HP chip afterwards. So next up we have Armaldo. So Armaldo is a bit of a strange choice, and when I was looking for a Pokemon, I kind of thought I need a Pokemon who can deal with like Stealth Rocks, who can rapid spin. I didn't want Defog because my team is quite entry hazard heavy, so I didn't want to actually defog away my own hazards, and there wasn't that many spinners in the bug type, and I felt for me and my team Fortress was too much of a momentum sink, so I kept losing momentum using it, so I ended up going for Armaldo. With Battle Armor, Armaldo is actually quite nice to be able to tank Wicked Blows from Urshifu because they can't critical hit me, which is super important and pairs nicely with my decent physical defense of 328 and 354 HP is not to sniff at either. Now unfortunately it doesn't have any form of recovery because we are running heavy duty boots, because we do need him to be able to come in and rapid spin away the entry hazards if possible. So with that we do have rapid spin again for hazard control, and the speed boost is actually quite nice because eventually it can actually start to outspeed things even with pathetic 126 speed after a boost or two, and especially with sticky web support this thing actually starts to outspeed some threats in the tier. Next up we have Stealth Rock, which is just great for hazards and great team support, as well as kind of breaking sashes sturdy and just slowly chipping away my opponents, which makes them more and more like kind of susceptible to my priority, which we'll see a lot of later on in the team. Next up we have Knockoff. Knockoff again is just team support, as the Armaldo completely is basically just team support for knocking off Eviolets, for example, or maybe Choice Scarfs on Pokemon that could potentially threaten my team, like Lele, for example. And finally we have Toxic, which is good for wearing down walls, which we can potentially come across, and especially if we have no means of outright attacking them or doing too much damage. So the next member of the squad is Volcarona, and Volcarona is going to be a max special attack modest nature with max speed investment. So the reason for this is after some quiver dances, Volcarona becomes a massive threat to my opponent and could potentially sweep their entire team if left unchecked. Item wise we are running heavy duty boots because Volcarona is extremely susceptible to entry hazards such as Stealth Rock, Spikes, Toxic Spikes, Sticky Web, basically all of them. Volcarona does not like to eat up, so the heavy duty boots allow us to constantly swap into those without a worry. Ability wise we're running Flame Body, so Flame Body is really good for potentially spreading burns on something that wants to either like pivot out with a U-turn, or maybe wants to fake out me, for example Lopunny. If it wants to come in an already fast Volcarona, they might want to fake out me for Chip, which gives them a 30% chance to burn, which is fantastic for the rest of my team. Moveset wise we do have Quiver Dance because it is one of the best setup moves in the game, I believe, increasing your special attack, special defense and speed, making Volcarona not only bulky but also a terrifying sweeper. We have Bug Buzz because Bug Buzz is quite nice stab, as well as hitting plenty of things in the tier super effectively. and also being able to slightly like scare off Tyranitar from swapping in, because they do have to take a stab modest Bug Buzz if they want to try and counter me. Next up we have Fiery Dance. So Fiery Dance is a little weaker than Fire Blast, however it does have a 50% chance of increasing my special attack, allowing Volcarona to become even bigger of a threat, allowing to snowball to becoming more threatening, having potentially allowed to get a KO with Fiery Dance because it is strong, it is a stab 80 base fire move, but as well as that it can potentially increase my special attack to make the next Pokemon swapping in even weaker to my attacks. And finally we have Hidden Power Ground. So Hidden Power Ground is there for Heatran. I couldn't think of his name, Heatran, sorry, because Heatran is quite threatening to my team. As well as that, there are a couple of other things like Toxapex from the tier it can somewhat threaten, which can be a bit difficult for Volcarona to deal with. So I'm bouncing between Hidden Power Ground and Giga Drain. Giga Drain is way better against the Grass matchup, which can also be quite tough. However, Hidden Power Ground is fantastic for Heatran, and Heatran absolutely love to swap into Volcarona and try to hard wall it, so it is important to kind of get that surprise KO, especially after a boost. Next up we have Pinsir. So Pinsir is going to be my Mega on the team, and with a max speed Jolly Nature, it can outspeed a huge amount of the tier, especially after a Sticky Web, and when Mega Evolving it does get up to I think 337 speed off the top of my head, which is quite good. On top of that, it has impressive attack at 349 before it Mega Evolves and before it's boosted. Now, when it Mega Evolves, it becomes a Flying type, which can be quite nice. However, it does mean we are very much more susceptible to Stealth Rock, which is something I have to consider before Mega Evolving my Pinsir. So with Moxie as its ability, if I can manage to score a KO before I Mega Evolve, I can Mega Evolve into an even bigger threat because it does have a staging attack increased before I even have to Swords Dance. Now this can be easily done through Earthquake on, for example, Heatran, so they love to swap into Mega Pinsir or stay on Pinsir, for example, expecting to not be able to KO them. So the Earthquake can score a KO there and get a Moxie boost. So Swords Dance is also there to kind of Swords Dance in the face of walls to really start putting the pressure on them, because when this thing Swords Dances up, it becomes a monstrous threat thanks to its new ability Aerialate. When it Mega Evolves, its Quick Attack and Frustration become both Flying type and boosted, and therefore further boosted by Stab. So we are looking at a very powerful Frustration and very powerful Quick Attack, which is the first of many priority we're going to see on this team. So why I chose Frustration over Return is because Dittos on the team typically by default will have max happiness, so if they do copy my Pinsir, the Frustration will do, I think it's between 1 and 3% of max happiness. However, if I ran Return, it is a guaranteed KO on pretty much my entire team, so that is a very important distinction and why I went for a minimum happiness Pinsir over a Return. So next member of the squad we have Scizor. So Scizor is going to be my next two priorities on the team, with its Stab Bullet Punch boosted by Technician. So it kind of does what Scizor does best, and that is hit very hard with Bullet Punch. So similar to Pinsir, it has great priority in Bullet Punch, and it is max attack adamant with max HP leftovers. So what it let it do is survive a surprising amount of hits because of its pretty decent HP and nice defense stat of base 100. Paired with leftovers, we do have a bit of longevity there. We're able to easily click Swords Dance in some weaker, slower Pokemon's face. For example, walls. We can click a Swords Dance, which makes me immediately more threatening. On potentially a Magnezone trying to Magnet Trap us, we do have U-Turn to also gain momentum, so we don't really need the speed to deal with it because it is priority. So unless my opponent has priority, it will go first, which is super important. And finally we have Superpower. So Superpower is really good for catching, again, Heatran off guard, Steel types like Ferrothorn, because these things are huge threats to my team. It is important to have checks to them such as that. I was also toying with Dual Wing Beat for things like enemy Volcarona or potentially grass types like Ferrothorn, because Dual Wing Beat does do a lot of damage, not as much as superpower, but it doesn't lower my attack and defense afterwards. Unfortunately, it is not that accurate, and on things like Ferrothorn or any Rocky Helmet user, for example, Amoonguss or Tangrowth, we do take 2 Rocky Helmet / Iron Barbs chip, which can really put the hurt on us. So I decided against that, and we're going to try superpower instead. So finally we have Gliscopod again with heavy duty boots. So Gliscopod can come in on Stealth Rocks or Sticky Web or Spikes with no issue whatsoever, and click First Impression, which is going to be stab boosted with a whopping 383 attack. This thing is going to really hurt. So that is the next bit of priority I have on the team. Paired with its Aqua Jet, we have more priority. So the final member of the team is going to be Gliscopod. Now with its heavy duty boots, we also have more hazard control on the team because we can swap into things like Stealth Rock, Toxic Spike, Spikes with absolutely no issue whatsoever. EV wise, we are max attack adamant, which helps its priority hit like really hard. So that's important for the team. As well as that, it has pretty good HP at 354 and respectable defense at 316. Actually, that's more than respectable. That's fantastic defense at 316. So it is able to take quite a hit as well. Moveset wise, we are running Spikes. So Spikes can put a lot of pressure on the opponent's team, especially if they are running a defensive team with a lot of like regen passers or bulky walls like Ferrothorn, Amoonguss. Anything that's quite bulky like that, Spikes does put the hurt on them, as it does slowly chip them away and put a lot of pressure on them every time they want to swap out. We do have First Impression, as I said, for very strong priority. It's 90 base and stab boosted, which kind of comes in and really puts the hurt on a team or an opponent, which can be maybe sweeping. Maybe, for example, I can come in and click First Impression, and that's a massive chunk of HP taken off them, especially if I can tank a hit and emergency exit. Gliscopod can easily come in later in the game and click First Impression again. Next up we have Liquidation. So Liquidation is super important for hitting things like Rock type, for hitting things like Fire types, which can give my team a lot of trouble because we are running a bug team. We do struggle with these things like Charizard with Volcarona, so Liquidation can hit those quite hard, especially if we get it on the swap, which they generally won't be swapping into, but it is possible. If they maybe expect a First Impression, for example, we could guess that and go for a Liquidation. And finally we have Aqua Jet. So because our speed is extremely poor, we also have Aqua Jet, which isn't the strongest but can be a nice supplementary stab after a First Impression. Can be potentially enough to KO an opponent, or as I said, it can weaken Rock types or Fire types, or potentially KO them if they have been taking a lot of chip from my Stealth Rock, from my Spikes for example, or just generally been worn down by my team. So that's going to be the squad today. We're going to pause there till we find a game, and hopefully we get some good wins. I'll be right back. So we have our first game, and in this game, they probably run their own webs given the fact they are running Rabombi. However, things like Lopunny can be annoying, as well as Superior, surprisingly. Dracovish cannot be slept on, so we are going to try to get our webs down as early as possible here. As they open up with Landorus, presumably wanting to go for a Stealth Rock, I'll try Stun Spore them here, as it could play a big part later in the game, especially if they are Choice Scarf. So they aren't Choice Scarf, and they do get fully powered, which is really good for me to be able to get my Sticky Webs down here so early, and potentially swap out as well if they are fully powered here again, saving my Sash for later in the game. So they go for a knockoff and get my Sash. That's okay, I'll just Moonblast here, as it hits neutrally and does a huge chunk of damage thanks to a crit, and they are, unfortunately for them, paralyzed. So in this position I almost want to swap out expecting Zone to want to come in, but I can't unfortunately risk them going for a Stone Edge on something like Pinsir, so I'll click Moonblast again. As Superior comes in and gets the speed boost thanks to my Sticky Web, and unfortunately they got the special attack boost as well. So this is looking quite threatening on paper. However, Scizor is super good against this in this position. I can swap in and potentially eat a Leaf Storm here, and that's to go for Hidden Power Fire, which would have been a good play. So we eat that with ease, and I click Bullet Punch here. I can get in Gliscopod afterwards to click First Impression, so I just need to make sure I can break this thing's potential substitute if it wants to go for that. So it actually does go for the substitute, and unfortunately for them does nothing, and they end up forfeiting the game because of that. So we'll take that nice early win. Let's see how much points we got for that. So we have our next game, and in this game it seems to be they're also running webs. which seems to be popular on the ladder right now. But as well as that, things like Staraptor and potentially Thunderous can be quite difficult for my team. So we're going to open up and try to get our own Stealth Rocks down as early as possible as they go into Ribombee. I'll just throw my webs down here because we do have things like Scizor to threaten them or Armaldo to threaten them as they go straight for a Moonblast. I'll try Stun Spore here. They could potentially get their own Stun Spore off and they do end up fully paralyzing me. I don't value Ribombee too much in the end game and they actually don't seem to want to get their webs down. So, I'm guessing they're going for an end game of trying to defog it out with Staraptor, and I don't want anything to be too much to be paralyzed here. So I'll try Bullet Punch here as I activate its Sash, and then it gets its own Sticky Web down, which is okay because here I U-turn out into my Armaldo, which can Rapid Spin away their hazards. Now they can go into Volcanion here and try click Steam Eruption, which would be a good play. And if they are a max speed nature, that can definitely be very difficult for me to handle, though we do have things like Earthquake and Pinsir, as well as Volcarona with Hidden Power Ground. So they go into Buzzwole here, interesting. I'll Rapid Spin away their hazards as they try to get a substitute down. Now this can be scary for me, but we do have Pinsir and Volcarona, so I'm actually going to go into hard Volcarona here, just to try and break this thing's Sash and make sure it's not a threat to me immediately. As they go for an Earthquake and just miss out on the KO, which is very unfortunate for them, as it does let me get some much needed chip on the Volcanion here. And the Hidden Power Ground actually picks up a KO nice and early for me here. So Thunderous comes in. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do against this. I don't think I value... Actually, I value Volcarona a small bit in the end game to deal with Buzzwole, but Pinsir does that quite well too, so I'm going to actually go for a Fiery Dance here. As we eat the Thunderbolt, I go into Armaldo and click a Toxic on what's potentially Buzzwole coming back out, as they go for a Nasty Plot. That can be very scary for me. I'm going to knock whatever they have here as they go for a Z move, meaning unfortunately I am most likely dead. So thanks to the Toxic, they will be slowly being chipped down, and I think the end game here is to potentially try and get a Moxie boost with Pinsir. So I'll go into Golisopod and click First Impression. It won't be very effective, but between that and Toxic Chip we should get a good chunk of damage off on my opponent. So that did a lot. Especially after Toxic Chip. They are at 26. What's Mega Pinsir's speed here? Let me just check. 339. So I do outspeed, and I believe a Frustration should KO here. It is 102 base, coming off 349 attack. And they are quite weakened. Oh, I forgot to Mega Evolve, so I ended up actually probably completely throwing that game, which is very unfortunate. That is completely my fault there. I played that end game very, very poorly. Now it is potential we could beat this Buzzwole in a one-on-one, but I don't realistically see it happening because we do not have dual wing beat here. And they're doing way too much damage. So that's a GG there. I completely threw that game by forgetting to Mega Evolve, so I deserve that loss, and we're going to end up taking a loss here. So I'm going to pause until I find the next game. I'll be right back. So we have our next game, and in this game, things like Darmanitan can definitely be an issue, as well as Skarmory, because it does wall out a lot of my team. Now, they probably are running Rapid Spin on something like Donphan, so I'm not too keen on getting hazards up immediately, though I will open up Ribombee and try and paralyze whatever they open up with, as they do go Darmanitan here. So this will reveal to me if they're Choice Scarf or not, and thankfully I cannot be KO'd in one hit, because I am Focus Sash, and they cannot even burn me with Flare Blitz. So worst case scenario, this is Choice Scarf, and I do miss my Stun Spore. But we will see what they do here. In this game, once Skarmory is dead, I really, really value Pinsir. So they are indeed Choice Scarf, and my Stun Spore missed. So unfortunately, I kind of willed that into being, but my Armaldo should be able to eat a hit, as that did so much damage. My god. Now I kind of have to sack something here, I believe, because we can... No. I'm going to have to let Armaldo unfortunately faint here. And Michael Lysopod should be able to get a KO here with Aqua Jet. So I probably shouldn't have mentioned Stun Spore Misty and that being Scarf because I kind of willed it into being. But with that, we should be able to click Aqua Jet here and get a KO. If they do swap out, I should be able to start stacking up some spikes, which really threatens Darmanitan in the future, as well as potentially Bayonet. Bayonet can be annoying here because it can be a Destiny Bond prankster user. I'm not sure what Thievel can do, so I don't want to sleep on it just yet. We thankfully do have Ribombee alive for later in the game as potentially a sack or to outspeed something like Clefable and Stun Spore it. As Aqua Jet picks up a KO there, nice. So I don't see anything on their team that can immediately threaten Golisopod as they take in Bayonet. Possibly wanting to throw a Will-O-Wisp on me here. As they attract. Interesting. And they go for a Phantom Force. So I will liquidate them when they're coming out. As unfortunately I am immobilized, so I'll try throwing a spike down. Nice. Every spike here really counts. As they go for a Phantom Force again. So I do believe Scizor should be able to live this nicely. And I can click Bullet Punch here to break its sub. I will Sword Dance. I should live, and this Bullet Punch should KO here. As they go for an Attract. Nice, we managed to pull through and KO the Bayonet. So unfortunately this means Skarmory most likely comes in, as Donphan comes in. I expect them to want to go for a Rapid Spin here, so I will click Bullet Punch and get off as much damage as possible. As they double into Clefable, which is super good for me because I managed to pick up a KO there. Now Skarmory comes out and I will just U-turn off on this as they Sword Dance. They are weak armor. Wow, that is cool. Do they outspeed my entire team? Do I lose now? I guess I can go for a Flame Body as they Brave Bird. Come on, Flame Body, activate. Unfortunately, it did not. Now they are slowly losing their defense thanks to weak armor. So I believe the play here is to Bullet Punch with Scizor. Drop his defense even further to get a KO with Pinsir. Especially after the Brave Bird, it will be chipped low enough. Now I want to think Quick Attack will KO, but I'm not willing to take the risk, so I'm going to Mega Evolve and do it. I'm almost certain it would have KO'd, but after my complete mess up last game, I don't want to take the risk. This thing can easily click a Stone Edge on me, but Frustration should do plenty of damage. And potentially put it in range of Ribombee. So I'll click Frustration again, as they go for an Ice Shard, which does no kind of damage. So Moonblast into First Impression would have won that anyway, so that's a GG. So we got our second win, and we're going to pause there till we find our next one. I'll be right back. So we have our next game, and in this game, things like Zeraora, that can be a threat to my team because it is quite fast, as well as Incineroar and Greninja. So we're going to have to play this one quite carefully, but by the looks of it, they do not like spike stacking or even my sticky webs. So we're going to open up with Ribombee and try to get a sticky web down as soon as possible, potentially forcing them to go for a defog, which will remove their terrain. So here I think Scizor is the play. If they do defog, they get rid of terrain, and I'm just going to click Sword Dance in their face. They go into Incineroar, which should be expected. Now this is a speed tie, I believe. Actually, I outspeed with their min speed, so we'll try click Superpower here and pick up a KO, and such an important threat so early on. So that is really good for my team. Now Scizor really does threaten things like Gardevoir, as they take in Zeraora. I don't have much that can eat this, so I'm going to sack Ribombee as they go for a Plasma Fist. I'll take an Armaldo, which should be able to live a hit, and just try to get a Stealth Rock down here. Things like Greninja absolutely hate First Impression. Actually, so does Zeraora. Most of their team really hates First Impression as they take in Feeny. So I'll try knock off here as they defog, letting me Toxic this. If they do go for a Scald, I should live, as they go for a Surf and does tons of damage. But I got a Toxic, which is super good to slowly chip this away. Now I think I can swap into the likes of Golisopod. They won't activate my emergency exit, and I get a free first impression off here. Which won't do a ton of damage given the fact they do resist, but it is a nice pivot into something like Pinsir, which can potentially get a Moxie KO here, after the chip from Toxic. So they do indeed go for Moonblast, which activates my emergency exit, and I will get in Pinsir. Now in this position, I feel like Frustration can pick up a KO. I'm going to risk it. They might be physically defensive, as we got the crit there, which is super good for us because we do get the Moxie boost. Now unfortunately Zero Aura can easily come in on this and click Plasma Fist. However, if I don't Mega Evolve, I do believe I should live one, as Gardevoir comes in. And they're not even Trace. So part of me just wants to Mega Evolve here and click Frustration. I do outspeed and they'll definitely KO. There's no way you survive this. As I said, they can easily get in Zero Aura in this position, which can be a threat to my team. But between First Impression and Bullet Punch, I do believe I should be able to take care of it nicely. Though I do have to play this endgame fairly carefully. Now the question is, do I value Chip on this? And I think I do, so I'm going to click Quick Attack here. That was okay damage. And we are obviously knocked out, so that looks to be banded based on the damage they're doing. So I'll get in Golisopod here and click First Impression. It should put it in range of Bullet Punch exactly from my Scizor. Now unfortunately Greninja is looking kind of scary in the endgame. If it specs Hydro Pump, it could easily win. As they take in Zygarde. I think I need my Scizor healthy, so I'm going to sack Armaldo here. Actually, is that the play? They go for 1,000 arrows. I will try get a Quiver Dance up here, as they are Stone Edge. That is unfortunate for me. So here I think I'm going to have to Sword Dance in their face if I have any hope of living. +3 Bullet Punch surely KOs this. Unless it's Sash. Let's find out. And I think +3 might KO. It is indeed Sash. Unfortunately, we lost another game there, so we're going to pause till we find the next one. I'll be right back. So we have the next game, and in this game, this looks a lot more threatening because they do have huge threats to my team like Toxapex and Dragapult. They do have a Defogger in Feeny, so I'm not too keen to get those down immediately. And I expect them to maybe open up the Heatran, so I'm going to try open up Pinsir and just click Earthquake turn 1 here. Potentially picking up a KO very early, as they go into Pex. Nice. Now unfortunately I do run the risk of being Scald Burned if I stay in, but I'm going to try anyway and try Sword Dance in their face. They take in Dragapult. I really do not think I die to an unboosted Never-Ending Nightmare, as they are Specs. Okay. I really didn't see that coming, unfortunately. But Volcarona is looking better right now. After a Quiver Dance, I can threaten their whole team as they take in Heatran, and I can click Hidden Power Ground here, as it does 99%. How unfortunate. I'll click Quiver Dance again on the Protect and just get another Hidden Power Ground off here. Now they can easily go into Rillaboom as they go into Toxapex. I mean, Hidden Power Ground does a good chunk of damage here, as they do haze me. So in this position, they surely swap out as they actually stay in and give me Pex, which is quite good for me. And I will just scout for whatever Dragapult wants to do. So click Shadow Ball, and in this position, Ribombee can come in and do some damage. But I think what I actually want to do is try and knock with Armaldo, as nothing on their team particularly appreciates being knocked. Nice, so we got rid of their Specs and did a good chunk of damage to them, making Scizor be able to one-hit KO here. So I expect them to be max speed, so I will take in Scizor and click Bullet Punch. Now unfortunately for them, I do believe Scizor does quite a lot of damage in the endgame. It can U-turn in the face of Rillaboom and Kartana, so I will U-turn in this thing's face, as they go for a Swords Dance. So I take out Ribombee here, Now unfortunately Kartana is looking a lot more threatening in the endgame, as they presumably go for a Grassy Glide here to activate my Sash. Now depending on what they click, I might be able to live with Golisopod, or potentially Caesar. So they click Knock. So Golisopod should live this, and I can First Impression, which does a good chunk of damage actually. It doesn't even activate my emergency exit. And I will Aqua Jet into this as they go into Feeny. I think my play here is to get as many spikes down as possible as they force me out into my Caesar. So I will Swords Dance in their face, and they don't get the Scald Burn because they are in their terrain, which is super important for me. And I will click Bullet Punch twice and pick up a KO here. Now Bullet Punch into First Impression and Kartana also picks up a KO, which is super important as they don't even manage to KO my Caesar. So we managed to get a win there, which is good. It was a close one, definitely didn't play the best, but we do take those, and I'm going to pause till I find the next one. I'll be right back. So we have our next game, however this one looks a lot more immediately threatening, as they do have things like Charizard, Cinderace, Tyranitar, Tapu Lele, all of which really threaten my team. And it is interesting to see an enemy Armaldo, because we are using one myself. I did mention earlier how rare it is to see them. So here I think we open up a Ribombee again as they go into Charizard, and we'll try to get a Stun Spore off turn 1 if possible, as they are Charizard Y. So that Stun Spore can be quite nice, and I'm going to get a Web down here just to kind of help threaten the rest of their team. Now unfortunately we do not actually have any rock moves, so I didn't really consider this when team building, how much of a threat Charizard could potentially be. I think we do live a single Ancient Power after a Quiver Dance. That did so much damage. But Fiery Dance can potentially put it in a position, because it is Sun Boosted, Stab, Adamant. It can potentially put it in a position where Pinsir comes in and can do a good chunk of damage here. So I am worried about Lele. If we can manage to keep our Sticky Webs down, it is super good for us in the endgame. And hopefully the Fiery Dance here puts them in a position where Pinsir can score a KO of Frustration, as it does not, because they are going to unfortunately break through from the paralysis. I will try Armaldo. Maybe they expect me to have a rock move and potentially swap out as they KO with Flamethrower, so this matchup is looking really bad. Now we can go into Golisopod and click Aqua Jet and threaten most of their team, to be honest, except Lele, as they give me Charizard, so that's good for me in the end game. This game, however, is looking worse and worse. I click Liquidation and get as much damage off as possible, as they do spin away my hazards. So I believe the play here is to Jet, to get some chip off on this, and exactly put it in range of Pinsir again. Now I'm going to put my own spikes down here. And just Jet to get a KO. So Golisopod is pretty important for me in the endgame for dealing with things like Tyranitar. As I said, Tapu Lele is a huge threat to my team as Tyranitar comes in. Now they do outspeed, so I'll get a bit of chip here with Jet. They could potentially go for a Dragon Dance, which is exactly what they do. And my emergency exit forces me out, which lets me take in Caesar here and click Bullet Punch, which just misses out on a KO. Unfortunately for them, they miss Fire Fang. Or possibly fortunately, depending on how you look at it, because I could have gotten a nice Moxie boost with Pinsir in this position. So I'll click Bullet Punch here again. I expect maybe Cinderace to come out, as surprisingly they are not Heavy Duty Boots. So I have to play this endgame well. I think they can pretty much KO my entire team with Cinderace, unfortunately, if the Pyro Balls do land. So we take in Golisopod here. I will click Liquidation, expect them to maybe want to go into Lele to try and block as they stay in, but give me a KO anyway, which is quite good for me. However, unfortunately here, I don't see a way where I can live unless I manage to dodge a Stone Edge here, which I did not manage to do, so that's going to be game because they did actually take Rock Slide. So unfortunately we took another loss, and I'm going to pause till we find the next one. So we're back, and this game is also looking quite threatening with things like Lele, Heatran, Thundurus, Gliscor, and Tyranitar. Honestly, Jellicent is no walk in the park either, so this game is looking quite difficult, but we're going to open up a Pinsir here, expecting them to want to go Heatran. Their defogger definitely is Gliscor. So if I can manage to score a KO on that, I can start hazard stacking. As they opened up with Thundurus here. Now unfortunately I can't risk my Pinsir being KO'd here, so I will go into Ribombee on the Thunderbolt. And I'll try to store a Sticky Web down here. They might reveal themselves to be Scarf here, which could be potentially an issue for my team. As they are not, they go for a Defog, so I'll just Moonblast here. Get as much chip off as possible, and I did lower their special attack, which is really good for me. To try throw a Sticky Web down now. As they Volt Switch out. So if I can potentially set up my Volcarona for the end game, it can look quite threatening for them. They go into Gliscor, possibly wanting to throw some Stealth Rocks down, so I will go into Golisopod here and click Liquidation. If they go into Jellicent, great play, which is exactly what they do, presumably wanting to try and spread a burn here, so I will try Toxic with Armaldo. Now I could Stealth Rock, but I'm going to knock off first, potentially knocking off Thundurus' item. Or if they stay in, I will knock off their leftovers, which can be quite good for me. As they go for a Skull, that is a lot of damage, but I will Toxic in their face, as I value as much chip on this as possible. So they indeed go into Thundurus here, which kind of lets me click Stealth Rock if they want to defog, because they are on a timer thanks to Toxic. And I do value the chip that Stealth Rock can give in this game. So in this position, I can potentially click Quick Attack and pick up a KO here, which lets my Moxie boost activate. If they go into Heatran, I can Earthquake, and if they go into Jellicent, I believe a Frustration could potentially KO after a Stealth Rock chip. Lele is definitely the biggest threat they have to my team, or potentially Gliscor. I don't think you live Frustration, but we will find out. Nice. So we get the KO there. And this is looking quite threatening on their team. Do you live +1 Earthquake? I don't think so. Pinsir putting in good work in this game. Now for them, they have to reveal that they are Choice Scarf Lele if they want to outspeed this. And I'm willing to take this risk and just click Frustration here. As we get another KO. So this is looking quite good. The Gliscor can still potentially wall me out. I don't know why they said GG, unless potentially they only have Earthquake as an attacking move. So that was a nice win there, and Pinsir put in great work. So we're going to pause there till we find our next game. So we have our next game. In this one, they do have threats like potentially Mega Pidgeot. Volcanion can be quite threatening too, as well as Dracovish. So this one could be dangerous. We're going to, I think, open up with Ribombee as usual here and try get a Stun Spore off as early as possible. If they do Mega Evolve, they activate No Guard, guaranteed me to land my Stun Spore, which is super good for me here, as they go for Heat Wave. A part of me values Sticky Web, but I think a bigger part of me values Chip with Moonblast here, which is exactly what I'm going to go for here. If they got fully paralyzed, that would have been fantastic for me. Unfortunately, they did not. Now with this, we do outspeed with the majority of my team. And if I go in Pinsir, I don't know if Frustration KOs. Let me run a quick calc here. We'll just say Choice Scarf, as long as that's max attack. It's the same deal. Pidgeot Mega Special Attacker. Return. Just 42 to 49. So that is a roll, unfortunately, that I'm not willing to take. So I will try take out Armaldo here and get down my Stealth Rocks, which could be good for chipping away things like Volcanion, as that did so much damage. With any luck, they will be fully paralyzed here, which they are not, unfortunately. So this thing is a huge threat to my team. I will go into Scizor and try U-turn off if they swap into... Okay, I forgot they had Heat Wave. I'm going to take the risk here and try go for the Frustration KO. Nice. So it did KO, and I had 2 completely unnecessary sacks here. This is surely Avalanche. So I'll try Swords Dance in its face as it goes for a Rapid Spin. As they Iron Defense. That is very scary. So Body Press can potentially do a ton of damage to me. Though if I do Mega Evolve, I am in the position where I Quarter by resist it. That does no kind of damage. Actually, Body Press is super weak on me, so I'll Swords Dance here again. Potentially setting up for a nice sweep. So Frustration should be able to 2 a KO it now, assuming I live this, which I did. And nothing like swapping it on this because I can't Quick Attack as well. They're taking Rillaboom. I will just click Quick Attack and pick up a KO here. And we still have the likes of Golisopod and Volcanion in the back. So Landorus T is definitely the most threatening Pokemon they have for me. I will click Quick Attack because I'm not willing to risk them being a Choice Scarf, and it actually KOs anyway. Is this Choice Scarf? I will click Quick Attack again. It's potentially banded because they did forfeit, and we're going to pause there till we find our next game after a fairly nice win thanks to Mega Pinsir again. I'll be right back. So we have our next game, and this game is scary because they do have Hawlucha, Landorus, Cinderace, potentially Conversion, Z-Conversion, Porygon, Magearna. All these kind of things are massive threats to my team, so I'm actually going to open up Armaldo for this time to try and Toxic the Landorus immediately, if possible. If they do go for a Stealth Rock, I can now start Rapid Spinning this away. And they are on a timer, so they can't infinitely Stealth Rock in my face. I'll actually try to get my own Stealth Rock down here. As again, I Rapid Spin in their face. So there's not too much they can swap into, as they do actually explode. They don't do much damage to me, but unfortunately they do block my spin, which is super important for them. Here, Rillaboom can be a huge threat, so I'm going to go into Golisopod. Actually, no, sorry, that's a bad play. They end up Sword Dancing, which is okay with me because I can get a first impression here. As they go hard into Magearna, activating their Grassy Seed. So Magearna is terrifying for my team. I'll try to get a single layer of spikes down. What do I want to? I won't get greedy. I'll go into Ribombee here and try Stun Spore. Though it looks like this game can be over immediately thanks to their stored power. So I don't think Volcarona will live. And I don't think Caesar will live either. They are 2 stages in special attack, so I think potentially what I can do is try click Fiery Dance. Do I live with stored power? There's actually no way I live with stored power. I don't know what I was thinking. So unfortunately we have a very, very quick loss here. And that is physically defensive. GG. So I played that quite badly against the Magearna. I should have gone in Ribombee immediately before trying to get in my some spikes. So we're going to take a loss there, and we'll pause till we find the next one. I'll be right back. So we have our next game, and this one doesn't look as immediately threatening. However, they do still have some big threats to my team, like Magnezone. Medicham can be very strong, as well as Excadrill. So here I think I'll try open up Armaldo as they go in Magnezone turn 1. Presumably wanting to go for a Flash Cannon here. I'll try Stealth Rock, as they are indeed Flash Cannon. Which lets me get in Volcarona and click Quiver Dance. They've taken Serperior. I do outspeed. They could potentially go for a Glare, so I'm going to Fiery Dance here, as they are actually Choice Scarf. Interesting. So I'll try to get another Quiver Dance up here. As Excadrill comes in. They are not Sash, meaning I do pick up a KO, which is quite good for me. And they take in Komodo. Now I think Fiery Dance is just quite strong on them, even if it's resisted. As they go for, unfortunately, their Z move, Clangorous Soul Blade, increasing all their stats a stage. Which can be scary, but it does open up Mega Pinsir to click Quick Attack. I'll try Fiery Dance again, as they go for an Earthquake. I'm just going to have to Mega Evolve here. Unfortunately, I won't get the Moxie boost, but it is important I KO this. That did not KO. Wow. I really thought that would KO. So unfortunately, we'll have to click Bullet Punch here, which lets them get in Magnezone. And potentially click Hidden Power Fire. As I am faster, and I get his superpower off, which doesn't KO. And I'm in a very, very bad position here. So this is looking quite bad for me. As Gliscor comes in, I will try Stun Spore it. As they knock off, I'll throw a Sticky Web down to potentially slow down the Medicham. And this endgame became quite difficult for me. But it's not impossible. Especially because the Medicham cannot fake out paralyze me, or flinch me, sorry. As Serperior comes in. I want to click First Impression, as it will get a KO, but I don't know if I live a Leaf Storm. So let me do a quick calc here. Golisopod, Revenge Killer. That is basically max HP. Serperior, Choice Scarf. So Leaf Storm does 45 to 54. I am max HP though. It does 45 to 53. That is a huge roll. So unfortunately here, I think I'm going to have to hope Rabombi survives one. And click Moonblast here. Nice. So obviously I put this in a position where it will get KO'd by my First Impression. However, we do have to worry about Medicham now. If I could guarantee swap into that and click First Impression, maybe that was the play. Maybe I should have risked it. It was a 39% chance of a 2-hit KO. So unfortunately this endgame looks quite uncertain for me, as I do believe Medicham can potentially win. If I get a Liquidation defense drop into Aqua Jet, I do believe I can win, but that is very unlikely. So all they need to do here is click Leaf Storm more. I'm very surprised Komodo lived that quick attack. Maybe I should have calced it, but I really thought I was safe. Perhaps First Impression with Golisopod to get some chip off was the better option there. So I definitely played this game, not the best, but we won't give up hope just yet. There is a possibility for Golisopod to win. As they are taking a long time just to click Leaf Storm. Actually, I didn't consider Leaf Storm could potentially miss as well, which would be very good for me. I'm seeing Serperior much more on the ladder recently, possibly because of the influx of Sticky Webs thanks to Rabombi. So this guy is taking a while, which is okay, they have the timer to do so. I definitely want to find some other games after this. Let's see where I am now. 1372, so 5-4. We are doing not good in this episode. Unfortunately, like, it was doing very well in testing, so I'm kind of surprised to see the team doing so bad. Hopefully, maybe in the next episode I have Ghost potentially lined up, and that was what carried me to the 1600s in the NatDex, so if we can get some good games with that. Now there is potential they don't actually click a button here, and we win due to a timeout, which I'll take. It seems like a bit of a cheap win, like kind of shameless, but I mean, we take those. We need the points at this point. So it's looking more and more likely my opponent is not going to come back. And we end up getting a very anticlimactic win. But it wasn't a definite loss there either, so we're going to pause there till we find the next game. I'll be right back. So we have our next game, and at least in this game, they have stuff like Slowbro, which doesn't immediately terrify me. Kartana can be dealt with as well as Victini. Now Volcanion can be an issue as well as potentially Caesar, so we do value Sticky Web so much in this game. I want to Stun Spore this, as they go for a U-turn turn 1. If they go into Cart, that would be very scary for me, as they take in Volcanion and Stun Spore. Misses again. What's new there? We'll throw down a Sticky Web here, and unfortunately be KO'd by that. Now this is kind of scary for us. We don't want to lose our Pinsir so early on, but I really have no way of dealing with Volcanion. I'll try to get a Hidden Power Ground off first of all. Does that KO me? Maybe a +1 doesn't KO. Wishful thinking, it definitely KOs. So Volcanion, we'll say Substitute, against Volcarona. It's not even bulky, so Steam Eruption is 110 to 131. After a +1, it won't KO me, potentially. So I will click Quiver Dance here, into a Hidden Power Ground. Nice. So Hidden Power Ground should put it in a position where Pinsir can pick up a KO against it. Definitely, that did a ton of damage. So Pinsir will come in here and just click Earthquake. If they go into Victini, I do outspeed because of Sticky Web. As they go into Gliscor. What can Gliscor do? Is it Stone Edge? I want a Swords Dance in this thing's face. And I'm going to try. Are you Swords Dance? You're Defog. Good play. Here I will Frustration because I do believe Quick Attack actually should just pick up a KO here on Victini. In this position. And I don't see a way that Caesar can KO or Kartana in one hit. There's no way this lives. There's no way. Pinsir. Pinsir Mega. Oh, you Swords Dance. So that is Adamant. Oh, and this is Jolly. Wow, that thing is strong. Quick Attack. That's defensive? Victini? It actually does live. I'm surprised. So we will sack Armaldo here and potentially a U-turn as they go for a V-Create, which doesn't even KO me. And now they are in the position, if they do want to stay in, they are even weaker for the next Pokemon to come in, which will be Golisopod. And I will just try to get some spikes down here. And the Scizor. And this could be a Mega Scizor, which can be surprisingly threatening to my team, so I'll try quick Liquidation. Which does a good chunk of damage. Nice, that's actually very strong. They might be Roost. We will find out here. They are indeed Roost, unfortunately. So that's very bad for my team. As all I can do here is Liquidate and potentially go for a Defense Drop, which I did not get, and I'm forced to take in Scizor, which presumably dies to a knock, and the superpower won't KO. Unfortunate. So that is a sad endgame. GG. We take another unfortunate loss there, which will put us down to quite low, and we're going to pause there until we find the next game. I'll be right back. So we have another game, but unfortunately here, the likes of Charizard and Swellow are quite threatening to my team. As usual, I'll try open up Ribombee as they go into Serperior. I'll click Sticky Web here. I value it quite a lot, as their Leaf Storm does not too much damage, and I will click Moonblast. Now, unfortunately for them, they do not value a first impression at all. So I will come here and click first impression. If they go into Donphan, it potentially lets me liquidate them on the Rapid Spin, as they give me Superior. Now, Charizard is still certainly an issue. This is most likely Guts, as they go for a Defog. And Liquidation did so much damage. Wow, that was strong. So they don't value a Rapid Aqua Jet here at all, as I get rid of their Defogger. I can potentially throw up Sticky Webs in the face of something, Stealth Rocks in the face of something like Donphan. I think I value Golisopod alive to be able to click First Impression on Greninja, but I want some chip on this, so I'm going to click Quick Attack. That's a decent bit of chip. Now they are unfortunately Zard X. Are they Flare Blitz? I think I sack Volcarona here. They are Dragon Claw. So great play. And now they do outspeed my entire team. Armaldo should be able to live one. And I'll click Toxic. Armaldo definitely lives one. That is tanky. And we'll try to get a Stealth Rock down here. Nice. So that's putting it definitely in a position where they like Pinsir less and less. How much did Aqua Jet do? 23. I think I value Golisopod a lot in the endgame. So I will sack Pinsir. Quick Attack could potentially pick up a KO here. It is very strong. as it just misses out, unfortunately. But we actually survive a Dragon Claw. Now that is surprising. If Gren comes in, it might want to click Aqua Jet. Sorry, Water Shuriken. So we'll go in Pod, as they are Protean. Weird. And that makes me a little nervous, but I'll click First Impression here to get as much chip off as possible on the Milotic coming in, which is quite bulky. However, we do value spikes quite a lot in this game to try and chip away the Greninja. Hopefully the Scald won't burn me and activate my emergency exit. Now they are very much relying on a Scald burn for the end game, and it could pay off for them, very much. As they go for a Toxic, I will just click Aqua Jet here to get a tiny bit of chip off. It's all I can really hope for here, because I will be sent out with emergency exit after this. Though thanks to Toxic now, I no longer can be burnt, and I get some chip off here with Pinsir, with my frustration. The end game is looking quite difficult, but that did a good chunk of damage. I will U-turn into Golisopod, please don't burn. Nice, we didn't get the burn. And we click First Impression here. So Caesar could still potentially win the endgame, though the Greninja will be quite threatening. If they give me Donphan, okay, they take in Greninja, and I'll click Aqua Jet here, as I guarantee a small bit of chip off from them. Nice, that was surprisingly strong. They're probably not specs based on how little damage the Water Shuriken did. 3.4% is nothing. I think the play here is Bullet Punch is not very effective. I'll try Swords Dance as they are Hidden Power Fire. Unfortunate. So we take another loss, and I'm going to pause there till we find the next game. So we have our next game, and again in this game, things like Mega Pidgeot are quite an issue. Ferrothorn can be an issue. Hatterene can be scary, as well as Toxapex. So I think in this game we open up with Golisopod as they go into Pidgeot, and they're just going to go for a KO immediately here with Hurricane. I'm seeing so many Mega Pidgeot on the ladder right now. I'm surprised at that. We'll go for an Aqua Jet as they take in Ferrothorn. So if we can get some spikes down here, we really value that. And I'll swap into Volcarona on what I expected exactly to be Hatterene coming out. Now this does let us Quiver Dance in their face, as Psyshock did so much damage. We kind of value this alive for Ferrothorn, but I also value just getting up as much chip on this as possible. Potentially giving me a KO here with Pinsir. I'll click Earthquake as they take in Ferrothorn. And unfortunately a Swords Dance into Earthquake won't KO. But I'll try and get as much chip off as possible as they are T-Wave. This is not good for me. If I manage to get the KO here, that's really good for me, as now I can Mega Evolve and Quick Attack. Please break through, Pinsir. Nice. So Pinsir putting in some work. Managing to just about break through the paralysis. They take in Gren. They can click Water Shuriken here, but I'll try to click Quick Attack, as that will definitely not KO. Breakthrough. Nice. So Pinsir really put in work there and was not phased at all by the paralysis. So we actually got a quick and nice win there, which is good to recover some of our points and rapidly losing. So we're going to pause there till we find our next game. I'll be right back. So we have the next game, and in this game, Volcarona is actually such a huge threat to my team. Honestly, most of their team is a huge threat to my team. So this one's going to be quite difficult. We're going to try open up a Rabombi, and I think my Volcarona and Pinsir are going to be the MVPs in this game. We'll try to get a Stun Spore down here as early as possible, as they reveal themselves to be Scarfed, which is good for me to know, as I take in Ferrothorn, unfortunately blocking my Stun Spore. I don't think I value Sticky Web that much in this game, and I'll take in Volcarona. I expect Chansey to come in, so I'm going to double into Armaldo. Azalea ends up coming in. We'll try Rapid Spin this away. So we gotta spin whatever's coming in. Ferrothorn. This thing is a huge, huge threat to my team. I will get my own Stealth Rocks down to hopefully potentially start chipping them. And with this, I will start getting spikes down because their team hates spikes. I can live with Stealth Rock on my side of the field if it means I can get my own spikes down. Now Volcarona can be a big threat as they take in Landorus. They may defog here or they may go straight for a Stone Edge. So I'll try take in Armaldo on a U-turn. Not bad. So they're forced to take some chip here every time they swap in, which is super good for me. I'm actually going to try and knock off their leftovers. And here I will Rapid Spin again. They now have no form of recovery, and they're going to continuously take chip every time they swap in. So we do end up fainting, which puts me in a decent position where I can take in Volcarona and click Fiery Dance. Actually, I almost want to Quiver Dance, but I click Fiery Dance. As their own Volcarona comes in. They were not heavy duty boots, which means they take a ton of damage. That is quite good for me. So Lando comes back out. They might click Stone Edge, but at this point I don't value Rabambi much at all. Exactly as the Stone Edge comes out. I feel Caesar's the play. I want a U-turn. And what I expect is maybe Ferrothorn coming out, or potentially Tapu Koko. As exactly, Ferrothorn comes out, and kind of puts me in a position where I can start getting KOs with Earthquake. That said, I think I value Fiery Dance a lot here with Volcarona. Now they can easily get in their Chansey, as they take in Landorus again. They will have to go for a Stone Edge here, as they go for a Defog, letting me dance in their face. Actually, I'm going to click Fiery Dance again on the Chansey coming out. So with Chansey, they presumably want to teleport here, so I will dance. As they go for a Toxic. Not good. That's okay though, I do value spikes still a lot in this game. As they Seismic Toss me, letting me potentially get in my Pinsir. I think Pinsir wins the endgame, so I'm going to get in Caesar here and click Sword Dance. They are unable to Toxic me, and their Seismic Toss won't do too much damage. They take in Gyarados. Is this Mega? Are they going to Dragon Dance in my face? I don't see a position they can way KO me. Exactly, they Dragon Dance in my face as expected, and that didn't do too much damage, unfortunately. Thankfully, I can First Impression into them, which will hopefully put me in a position where my Quick Attack can KO. They Mega Evolve, which is a mistake on their part because now my First Impression ends up KOing. They take in Tapu Koko. I think I value Golisopod a lot in the endgame here, and I don't value Volcarona too much as it is outsped by Landorus and completely walled out by Chansey. So they're kind of forced to click Stone Edge here, as they end up going for Earthquake. Interesting. So that lets me Sword Dance up with my Pinsir, but I think I value going for an Earthquake more as they swap into Tapu Koko, so that was a great turn for me. Fantastic read, and Pinsir is putting in some serious work as usual. Now I don't see a way they can threaten me, especially after a Swords Dance, and they end up forfeiting. So we got some good wins in a row there. I might potentially go for one more depending on how our ELO is looking right now, which we will find out in a second when the ladder wants to update. So we ended up on 1387 and I ended up looking for another game. So here we are against a team where Golisopod absolutely loves First Impressioning honestly most of their team. That said, things like Dragapult can be a huge issue for me, so I'm not going to sleep on that. I think we open up with Volcarona here as they go into Greninja. I'll try double into Golisopod and click First Impression. They do reveal this to be Protean, which is good information to have, and nothing on their team absolutely loves swapping into this. As they are Sash, I'll click Aqua Jet here, picking up a KO on Greninja nice and early. Now, as I said, Dragapult is still a huge issue for me, so I do have to be quite wary of that, especially if it's Never-Ending Nightmare build. I think I value Golisopod alive in the endgame, and I want to try and bait out the Never-Ending Nightmare, if that's what the set they are. I'll click Liquidation here, as they go for a Dragon Dance. Now I expect a Z to come out, and the question is, what's the most expendable member on the team? I kind of feel it's Scizor, as they go straight for a Dragon Dart, and they are actually Life Orb, meaning I can Bullet Punch them here and get a good chunk of damage off, putting them in a position where they are very soon KO'd. I guess I'd take in Pinsir and click Quick Attack here and just pick up a KO as they go into Drill. Now, unless your Choice Scarf, Earthquake does KO, and they are Choice Scarf, unfortunately. But this does let me take in Armaldo and try Rapid Spin in their face, potentially removing their spikes, and I should live this hit. As they go into Dragapult, good play. I will just knock here. Now, I still have Golisopod alive for the endgame, which is important. The reason I'm so keen on spinning away these hazards is because I would open up Ribombee a lot in the endgame. Now, unfortunately, they are Genesis Supernova, which is quite scary. So here, I think I have to Stun Spore as they explode. Interesting play. I will take Golisopod and just click Aqua Jet here. I forgot about the terrain. I'm so bad. I'm so bad at this game. So I completely threw that game, and I'm so annoyed. I completely forgot about the terrain, so I'm just going to forfeit there. I do not deserve that win, and we're going to pause for the next one. So we're back with the next game, and they are actually playing Mono Psychic, so potentially I could look for a win here. I'm not going to say I'm going to get one because at the rate I'm playing, I'm probably going to end up losing again, but this is the best chance I've had so far. So we're going to open up with Scizor and try to get a U-turn off as early as possible. They could go for Hidden Power Fire, which is exactly what they go for, but this should let me set up with my Volcarona. But I'm actually going to get an Armaldo here and click Knockoff, as I value knocking off their team so much. Tapu Lele being gone is such an important thing for my team. I'll throw a Stealth Rock here as they Wisp me. I'll go for Toxic now that I can't be synchronized, as they go for Defog. So I'm going to continuously throw rocks down here. Actually, I won't, because they might swap into an Espeon. I'll throw one more rock down as they Soft Boil. And on the Defog here, I think I can start setting up with Volcarona. So I'm going to try that. I don't see a way they can swap into this. Zam is most likely Sash, as they take in Meloetta. I do believe Meloetta dies to a +1 Bug Buzz. Let's find out. Wow, that is bulky. So it looks to be Assault Vest, but we'll click Buzz again. Giving me Tapu Lele, as I said, is so important for me in the endgame. And it looks like Mew is completely walled out by this. I'll click Buzz again. This might be Mega, but I don't know if it survives. It does not. As they take in Lele. If this is Scarfed, I don't think it KOs just yet, unless it goes for a Psyshock, in which case it probably will. So I click Buzz again, and we get a crit which ends up KOing, which is so big for me. Now I definitely have the massive advantage of type matchup. And the Expanding Force just about misses out on the KO. So unfortunately their team looks like it has no real way to deal with Volcarona, which is the case with Monocyclic and regular monotypes anyway, so that is not to be surprised. So we ended up getting a win there. I'm going to desperately try claw back the ELO I've been losing, so let's see where we ended up with that. Where are we now? 374. I mean, I'm going pretty even, but I don't want to be going even. I want to be winning these games. And this is going to end up being quite a long episode, I think. Ladder does not want to... There we go. 1398. So if I can win one more, I'll be quite happy with that. So I'm going to pause till I find the next one. Well, I can't deny what goes around comes around. I'm against a mono flying team. Now, it's definitely not the most threatening mono flying team because they don't have things like Celesteela, but I'm not sleeping on this team because they are surprisingly... They're very high on the ladder with a mono bird team, so fair play to them for doing that. That's really cool to see. With this... Pidgeot's actually just so scary. I'm going to try to open up Rabombi because there's not much it can do in the end game. And I'll try to get a Stun Spore here, hopefully ignoring its guts. Nice, so Stun Spore finally actually lands a hit. And here we'll go for a Moonblast. So the reason behind the Moonblast is now I can potentially get in Pinsir and start getting KOs with Moxie, which can threaten their entire team. Now Mega Pidgeot is extremely scary, and they can just click Hurricane here and pick up a KO. Though I think I value the chip quite a lot with this. They do outspeed, but that's good chip. And Hurricane, obviously when it KOs me. Armaldo should be able to throw up rocks here as they go into Unpheasant. Now I will knock off as they go for a Brave Bird. That was very, very strong. They are Life Orb, which means the next hit won't do so much damage, thankfully. And I will try Toxic them. The fact they didn't defog here is quite good for me, though unfortunately this will be a trade. Okay, so we end up trading there. The Pidgeot absolutely hates coming in on Stealth Rocks. So I'm going to take in Volcarona here, as they presumably want to defog in this turn. If they go for Hurricane, that can be very dangerous for me, as Air Slash isn't doing too much damage, and I am managing to set up quite nicely, and I click Fiery Dance here, almost picking up a KO. So this should KO the rest of their team. Noctowl is very especially defensive. If this is Sash, it's Quick Attack and it KO. Ooh, oh, strong. Very, very strong. And unfortunately I didn't get the Flame Body burn. I do think Scizor is really good here in the end game. I'll click Swords Dance, expecting this to potentially be Choice Banded. Based on the damage it did there. I will U-turn on the Beak Blast. Oh no, that's Contact, isn't it? Ah. Oh, I played this endgame so bad. I knew the Beak Blast was coming. I'm playing so bad this entire live. GG. So unfortunately we lost another game, and we're going to pause there till we find the next one. I'll be right back. So we have another game, and in this game, things like Raichu could potentially be very threatening, as well as Charizard. We can deal with the likes of Serperior and Greninja, and we're going to try to get a Sticky Web down here as early as possible. I will try Stun Spore them here. As they go into Tapu Koko. Oops, I did not mean to click that. That was a complete misclick. It worked out well enough for me in the end, but that was definitely a misclick. So they definitely go for Rising Voltage here, which pretty much just picks up a KO regardless of what comes out. Now the question is, do I value Pinsir? And I think I do. I'll go into Rabombi here and just throw a Sticky Web down. Surprisingly, they don't end up KOing me, which lets me get up my Sticky Web. So that is really good because I can come in and click First Impression here. It gets a KO or possibly forces in something like Gliscor or Charizard, which allows me to liquidate on them. Nice. I'm just gonna click spikes here, I think, on superior. This lets me take in Volcarona, I believe. And I'll Quiver Dance once into a Bug Buzz. They do unfortunately miss their Leaf Storm, which is very bad for them. So the Bug Buzz will pick up a KO here. Greninja is still a huge threat to my team, as well as Charizard. This is Charizard X, I assume. I'll Quiver Dance one more. It is Charizard X, please Dragon Dance. Yes. So the Hidden Power Ground should pick up a KO here. Nice. Volcarona putting in some good work. I don't think Water Shuriken KOs here, as it did hit 5 times. Do I outspeed? I don't think I outspeed Raichu, but the first impression and plethora of priority I have on the team is immediately threatening to them. I click Fiery Dance here again, kind of forcing them to take in Tapu Koko, of which I click Fiery Dance. Now they do outspeed. If they are Protect Raichu, that is quite scary for me. They go for Psyshock here. I'll take in Golisopod and click First Impression, and that should be game. Nice, so we ended up winning the game there. Let's see where we ended up on the ladder. I'm trying to aim for 1400. 1450 was the aim at the very start of the episode, but that's not happening. This is already going to be probably well over an hour long. So if you do end up watching the whole thing, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Let's see where I ended up on the ladder now. So I was 1380. 1395. I'm going to risk one more game. I'll probably regret that, but I'll be right back. So we have our next game, and here things like Cinderace, Dragapult are extremely scary. Landorus can be somewhat threatening too, but we're going to open up Ribombee as usual and try get a Stun Spore down as early as possible, which we did actually manage to do for the first time almost the entire live. So that is really good for us. I will Moonblast here to potentially break its Sash, as they go straight for an Iron Head. Now their best play, I think, is to click Rapid Spin, because I could potentially put up webs here, which would end up KOing me and getting rid of my webs. So with that in mind, I'm going to go into Scizor and just try U-turn, as I believe they'll want to keep their Excadrill alive for later in the game. I'll Rapid Spin here. Their last move was presumably Earthquake. Come on, Breakthrough. Nice. So I don't value Armaldo much in this game at all, so I'm willing to Rapid Spin here again. And in this position, I think I outspeed. So I'm going to throw down my own spikes. Stealth Rock, sorry. As they get a KO here, and lets me take in Pinsir and click Earthquake. And just pick up a KO. Nice. Now Landorus comes in. Is this Choice Scarf? Probably, so I'm going to go into Ribombee and find out. They defog, letting me click Sticky Web here. They do indeed seem to be Choice Scarf based on the fact they did swap out here, and I can get in Golisopod and just click First Impression here. Nothing in their team particularly loves swapping into this, as Dragapult took a lot of damage. I'll click Liquidation here on the Dragon Dance. And fortunately, I have to sack Ribombee. Ooh, as I actually survive. I don't think I outspeed. No, I don't outspeed. That's okay. So we do lose that. It is Life Orb. I can pick up a KO here with my Scizor. Now, unfortunately, Cinderace is very threatening for me in the end game, so I do have to bear that in mind. So I'm going to take in Scizor here and just click Bullet Punch. It picks up a KO nicely enough, as Landorus comes back out. I presume they go for a defog, so I will Swords Dance in their face. And based on how they're playing, they seem to be Choice Scarf, so I will U-turn. I'm Greninja coming in, end up picking up a KO, which is super good for me. Now, as I said, Cinderace is still a huge threat to my team, and I will take in Pinsir. So what this lets me do is click Quick Attack here, and just get as much chip off as possible. Nice, that did a lot of damage. Pyro Ball does end up KOing, but it lets me get in Golisopod and Click Jet. If they go into Sceptile, great play, and they give me Cinderace. Fantastic for me. Now, I think I want Pod alive for the Sceptile in the end, so I'll give them Volcarona. That's okay with me, I think. I click Fiery Dance here. They will unfortunately get a KO. But I think Golisopod into First Impression into Aqua Jet gets a kill. Nice, so they end up giving me Sceptile. I will click Aqua Jet here because I value any chip at all. That does no damage. So we got that much needed win I was looking for, and Bullet Punch here will seal the game. So overall this was a very, very, very rough live and a long one. So my honest advice, I'll wait till I see the update first, and then I will chat a bit before I sign out. So the ladder should update here. It will push us just over the 1400 mark, which was the aim. Hopefully in the next episode I get to around 1450. I hope to get that this time, but what can you do? So the team was very fun. It did really good in testing. 14-10. Not bad. 11 wins, 8 losses. We went to net positive at least. As I said, the team was really fun. It was really good in testing, and I really enjoyed using it. Unfortunately, it didn't seem to perform too well in the live today. That is in huge part due to me. I was not playing well at all. I was actually playing quite badly, I'll happily admit. And my honest advice was, if you're playing on tilt, like you're trying to get that last win in, every win counts, just stop playing for a while. Like I should have stopped playing a long time ago. Maybe got a drink, got something to eat, come back in an hour or so, and try again when I have a fresh mind, because I was kind of, making bad plays, making stupid decisions because I was on tilt. So honestly, if you do start to play on tilt, I would recommend not doing so. If you did manage to watch this entire way through the episode, I hope you did enjoy. I really, really appreciate the support I've been getting recently. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I've left the team link down below. The Discord is linked down below. All that kind of stuff. So definitely do check those out if you're interested. I really appreciate the support. And if you did make it this far, again, thank you so much for watching the whole way. It was a long episode. And I hope you all have a fantastic day. Take care.